part of the Earglue Media family of podcast.
You're listening to the Cantina Cast, your home for thought-provoking Star Wars talk. Join Albert and Jonesy in breaking down the latest news, trailers, movies, and of course, your favorite characters from a galaxy far, far away.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cantina Cast. My name is Albert Padilla, and this is episode 299, Star Wars Resistance Update. This is the first episode that we're doing coming off of season, or I guess now that season 2 has started up, the second and final season of Star Wars Resistance. We thought we'd let some of these shows kind of collect and come back to you guys when we've had enough to really kind of discuss. And to help me do that is none other than it's not Jonesy. It's not Jonesy. It's only it's one other person that could probably be on the show tonight, and that's Mike Rondo. Mr. Mike, welcome back to the show, sir.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't been going long, to be honest. It just seems like I cannot leave the cantina. I'm like trapped. It's like I can't get out of this place. But Jonesy, I guess, is off chasing. You were last week chasing Sasquatch, and now this week he's chasing aliens again. I don't know what's going on with you two. You're all over the place, but here I am once again in the cantina. It's fun to be here. I'm looking forward to this. This will be a little interesting. It's like old school, you and I here, Albert. This is going back a ways. It was just you and I.
It's been a while. Well, it probably hasn't been that long, given how many times you keep me back on the show. But
that is true. I like haunt this place. Yeah. You just can't get rid of me.
You're the Exar Kun of the Cantina Cast, so
exactly.
There's a deep cut for you. All right. Let's do some news here, and then we'll kind of get into the first 6 episodes of Star Wars Resistance Season 2. And let's start off with a rumor. The Obi-Wan is rumored to start filming in July. So we know that we've got a solid confirmation that show's coming out. Long rumored, long speculated whether or not that was going to happen. Obviously, we got the big announcement at D23. But given the timing, if this thing is going to start filming in July, do you anticipate that we're going to see anything in the fall of 2020 for sure? Or do you think that's going to be pushed back at all?
Well, here's the thing with that, because I got this off of Reddit, so it's probably true, right?
Yeah. For the sake of let's assume it's true.
Let's just assume it's true. I personally feel like we will see something by Celebration. Actually, we'll see some kind of a teaser at least. I don't know when they'll be complete. I'm going to say the first of next year, not this year, 2021. I guess is that right? Yeah. So 2021, I would think the first of that we'd get to see something. Because I have a feeling Disney Plus, and we'll get into Bob's comments and everything, is where they're focusing a lot of this stuff, and they need content, right? So I imagine they're going to try to get this. Now, this is where I get a little concerned, is are they going to rush this? I don't think they will, because they've been, for 4 years, they've been trying to develop a movie, and now it's this. So I think they got a pretty good idea of what they want to do. I don't think they're going to, I don't know. That's tough to say. I'm actually kind of stunned that it's filming in July, if it all is true. If we're assuming this is true, I thought it would be even later. I figured by the end of, next year, like the end of the year, like maybe November, October, like The Mandalorian Season 2 is filming now. I figured that's when Obi-Wan would start filming. But I'm sure we'll get at least a teaser at next year's Celebration in August. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think?
I just... I don't really have a preference as far as, whether it feels like it's too soon, it's too aggressive, it's not aggressive enough. I think more than anything, however long it takes them to put out something quality or something good, that's fine. I'll wait, right? Just get something out that we're going to enjoy. So whether it's, July filming and they have something ready by the fall of next year, or it's going to take another year, as long as they're doing it right and they're kind of taking that, the right approach to it, that's kind of really all I care about. I think more than anything, and I'm excited about the Obi-Wan one, but I'm really excited about the Cassian Andor series, and it just and I don't know if that has any bearing.
I think you're the only one.
I may be the only one.
Be
honest.
That's right. You might be the only one, because then the problem is, it's not that I don't like Andor or I don't like. I would love the spy thing to see how that works out. It's just I'm not sure there's much of a story to tell, though. You know what I mean? Like seasonally. Like, I don't know how many seasons you could do. I mean, maybe if Obi-Wan's like this, 2 seasons type thing, maybe you do that with Andor. I don't know. But But
yeah, no, I agree.
I'm curious how that's. Yeah,
No, I
go
agree.
ahead.
I agree
Go
100%. I don't know. The shelf life is probably not very long on either one of these, really, because we're talking a very small time period, right? Condensed time period that they're going to do something. But who knows? And besides that, the only other person that's excited is Diego Luna. So he and I.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I love this character. I fell in love with him when he shot the guy.
Yeah, right. I know that
when he just
won
shot
your
the guy,
heart over. I'm sure.
Of course, he's cold blooded like me, and I love that. So and I would love to see that type of drama with him, like that spy thing and doing whatever he had to do and whatever it takes since he was 6 years old. That type of stuff. And here's the thing I'm thinking about this now. When you're thinking of Star Wars and shelf life with like the TV stuff, with the animated stuff, like Rebels was 4 seasons, Resistance is going to be 2. I get a little concerned here. Like we don't have anything that's going to be lasting a while. Like
no,
you know what I mean?
Serial, epic, longer kind of series thing like Clone Wars.
I mean, well, that's the thing though. If you go to a certain point, if you go long enough, it gets to the point where it's like, all right, we've kind of jumped the shark here. We're gonna go the Happy Days route and just keep making episodes for no reason at all. But and Star Wars is a little more hyper focused, right? Well, we want something. Everything's got to make sense, and it's got to be, all the ducks got to be in order and stuff like that. So I don't know. With The Mandalorian, by all accounts, we could get at least 4 seasons, 5 seasons with this, maybe even longer than that, which would be good. I mean, I would hate to see just 2 seasons and that's it. I mean, with Disney Plus though, you got to add all that content, so I assume we're going to get quite a bit with that and then some. So, anyway.
Yeah, and I think of at least for going back to the TV series themselves, you're right. I think Mandalorian's obviously got a kind of wide open, a lot of room there to grow. The other 2 seem kind of limited. So, and that's really all we know of, at least for now, from the live action series. When we get to the animated series, there's probably more opportunity there for them to create something that's maybe a little bit riskier, has the potential to be short-lived if it doesn't do well, and at the same time, can kind of grow into a number of seasons if it does do well. So I think they've got more flexibility there. We just don't really have a lot to go off of as of yet because they really haven't announced much yet. So I would imagine they've got more in the pipes. They've got to.
They've hinted at that. They said they got other things in development. I'm just curious what those are. But we'll get to that when we get to Mr. Iger's comments anyway. So
before we get to there, let's talk about Todd Fisher. So Todd Fisher is Carrie Fisher's brother. He had a lot to say here just recently. I think he was doing an interview with Yahoo News or Yahoo.com or something. And you've kind of thrown in some quotes here. The first one says she was going to be the big payoff in the final film. She was going to be the last Jedi, so to speak. That's cool, right? And that's Todd asking, not me asking you.
Yeah, and I'm not agreeing that's cool. I mean, I would love to see Leia as a Jedi, and she kind of is anyway. She's like one of those. She's trained, right? She's kind of like your favorite person, Maz, right? She's trained, but she's not really using it. I know, I just made your eye roll there, but I think this is nothing new. We kind of all assumed with going back to Trevorrow's episode 9 kind of ideas, from what we know at least, that her and Luke were going to have a big part in it, and especially her. Like 9 was going to be her. Actually, this is more her sequel. It was going to be, but unfortunately, Carrie passed away, and I think that hurt the sequel trilogy more than we'll ever. We'll probably realize it once 9's out and all the dust settles in a few years. We'll realize how horrible it was that she passed. It's just a big hole, in my opinion. Right. But anyway,
yeah, no. And there's some other comments in here that he made about yes, we had long heard that this was going to be her movie, so no surprise that if she was going to be, if episode 8 was supposed to be called The Last Jedi originally, that it would have taken on yet another meaning. Assuming that played out the way it did, or continue as it did, it would have taken on yet a third meaning or a second meaning here with Carrie Fisher being The Last Jedi. Or Rey, whatever. But there are some of the other quotes here. He says, "Why is it that Carrie never gets a lightsaber and chops up some bad guys?" Don't really see that being. I mean, it just chops up sounds brutal for a Jedi, right? But
I don't know. Obi-Wan was famous for chopping limbs off, so I mean,
but it's Obi-Wan.
Just saying. I
just don't. I guess it's Leia. I don't see Leia doing that, right? Obi-Wan.
Well, listen, I always said Leia had her father's dark side in her more than Luke, so I could see her giving into the anger.
That's a good point. He also goes on to say that J.J. Abrams was the one who signed on to do Rise of Skywalker after Carrie Fisher's death, and that he figured out a way to include her in the ninth film. But the more, I guess,
this is stuff he said before, and then Kathleen said, "Well, no, I think what's his face? Todd got it wrong." So I don't know what to believe at times. Exactly. Who's really right here? I don't know. Maybe JJ's telling him one thing, and Kathleen's like, no. But in any case, she is in the film, so he was kind of right. But anyway,
no, and I get it, because sometimes when you read these quotes without the full context, it kind of comes across as though everyone's trying to claim credit now for whether or not, she was going to be the star, we found a way to work her in, and I did this, no, I did this, and it was my idea, and it was my idea. That's what it sounds like, or it can seem like that on the surface anyways. It almost seems a little petty at times, especially when we're talking about someone who's passed. But the one thing that stood out here I know you put this in red, so apparently you're very concerned about it, but it says they had 8 minutes of footage. They grabbed every frame and analyzed it, and then they reverse engineer it and got it into the story the right way. It's kind of magical. And you've been focused on the 8 minutes of footage. Why is that?
I feel like, all right, so we got 8 minutes. My concern is, how long is her role in the movie now? If it's the 8 minutes, so I'm assuming she's not in it that long. The other thing I have is, and I had this concern when you go way back when she passed, and then we got past The Last Jedi, and we were wondering, well, what's going to happen in 9 with Carrie and everything, and then Todd made his comments, and then Kathleen made the comments and stuff, and I was thinking, are we going to kind of go around that to tell a story so it kind of works, but is everything else going to suffer script-wise because we're trying to force this in, so to speak? And this is what I'm saying with Carrie's death, where it's going to be such a big hole, because maybe they do force something in here and it makes something else wonky, because obviously her character deserves a send-off, or however they're going to end it with her, right? I mean, her character deserves that. So they're in kind of a no-win situation in a way. But so my concern was the story suffering because they're taking stuff from The Force Awakens and kind of trying to fit it in here. And maybe even The Last Jedi, they got some stuff and they're kind of cramming it in here, but then it kind of doesn't seem to match up with the story so much. And then again, with the way the technology is, they could be, might not even realize it. And it'll be like, oh, all right, it's flawless. And there's a million other things I can complain about, but not that, you know what I mean? So we shall see. I mean, I think they can work the magic. I'm just concerned about the story maybe suffering in some way because of this, but I could be just overworked or, overworking in my mind here. I don't know. What say you?
I'm not too concerned with it, only because, given what we know about the plot and what limited footage we've seen from the trailers, it doesn't seem as though she is going to be played heavily. She's not like a main character that we're going to see progress throughout the storyline, right? So 8 minutes, if you think about it, most films can tell, like, a pretty good scene in a movie is about 1 minute to 2 minutes long. If you think about it, if you really go back and watch it, right? Anything longer, then you're into some pretty heavy stuff, right? But in a minute or two, you can actually get a pretty good scene in there, right? So you figure that's probably a good 3 or 4 scenes there with 8 minutes of footage. Is that enough to kind of get them on their, and I'm assuming here that she's going to be either at the very beginning or maybe at the very end, or maybe some combination of both, because I can't see where they would be able to use any of the footage that they've done to kind of stick her in the middle, in like Act 2 or, end of Act 1, beginning of Act 3.
Can they cut and paste her character? Like, you know what I mean? Like in Photoshop, like cut her out of that.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's exactly what they're doing, but I just don't know that it's going to be in the middle of the film, right? I think it's going to be either up front or on the tail end of it in some way. But nonetheless, if you got that and you've got 2 or 3 scenes, it may be enough. It may be enough to feel like, okay, she's a part of the movie. However, they didn't really pigeonhole her into the movie and rework the script to the nth degree, just to make it feel like it's all connected. I think it seems like it's going to probably be right where it needs to be. But I don't know. Who knows? Again, I really don't know, because we don't have a lot of answers just yet. No,
I mean, we don't. At least with her, we haven't seen much of anything other than a few snippets. So who knows?
And if they've only got 8 minutes of footage, then you're going to get a shot here and there in the promotional stuff. And apart from that, they're not going to waste the ammo, right? They're going to leave that out there for the film itself.
True. True.
So, but nonetheless, I'm just hoping it does really well, and we're able to kind of watch it and enjoy it and feel like, I hate to say the word closure because it's just kind of cliche, but it would be nice to have kind of that send off the way that it's been talked about and to some extent been promised.
Well, that's the other concern is, do they have enough to give the proper send off?
And that can mean a lot of things,
you know
right?
What I mean?
Too. Like a proper send off.
True.
To some people means she's going to go out wielding a lightsaber, taking down the Emperor, and to some it means she's got 8 minutes of footage, and we get that in itself is a proper send off because we get to see her yet again one final time, post her death in the movie. So it's very subjective. I mean, it can mean a lot of different things to different people in terms of what a true send off is. And so I don't, I have it in my mind, but it's probably not what you're thinking.
No.
All right, we'll leave it at that. And then lastly, Bob Iger had some recent comments here. This is in the what was it? Where was it? He Cinema Blend was reporting this, but I don't remember where he said this. But
I'm not sure. I think he was at some conference or something there, or whatever it was. I can't remember where it was, but in any case, we got it from Cinema Blend.
Star Wars 9, which comes out in December, will be the last of the Skywalker saga, and we'll go into a hiatus for a few years before the next Star Wars feature.
That this has got everybody buzzing, so to speak. It's just like last week with Weiss and whatnot. They're leaving, and and then we posed the question at the end of the show, like, all right, so if we don't get anything in 2022, what are we doing here, so to speak? And a lot of people are like, all right, okay, what's going on here? Now Bob is kind of confirming it. Well, we're going to take a break, and I kind of disagree with Bob on some things here because he seems to think that we fans don't want like spin-off things, and I tend to disagree. I think we really do want that. We just want ones that we like and stories that are good.
Yeah, I don't know where that
Solo was
from.
good. Yeah, I don't know either. I think Solo scared him. The poor performance really, I think, shook him a bit, as it should, because it didn't make as much as. Although the movie was okay, I think the problem is most of us fans didn't really want that movie. We've been screaming for 4 or 5 years about Obi-Wan, but they ignored that. So here we are. And my biggest problem, and I even mentioned this to Jonesy at the end of that show last week, is where I said, Star Wars, Disney Plus is great and all, but Star Wars is meant to be seen on the big screen. So you better figure out what the heck you're doing here. My theory is, and this is just me, I'm sure other people agree with me, and I've said it on YouTube and Reddit and everything else, is I think Bob and Kathleen probably have hit the reset button and kind of said, all right, we have to rethink things and maybe formulate a more structured plan, because that's one of the things I think we could say with the new stuff here is it wasn't really mapped out, or at least it doesn't feel like it to me. At least with the sequel trilogy, it doesn't feel like it was really mapped out. And if it was on maybe a piece of paper, like a napkin or something, like I wrote it down on it, something. I don't know. So those are my concerns. And I mean, and I know Bob has said we're going to focus on Disney Plus, which goes back to the Obi-Wan thing, which is why I think we might see it sooner than we think, because they want to get that Star Wars content on Disney Plus, right? They got the movies, they got Rogue One, they got Solo, and all that, and then they'll have the Mandalorian, and soon it'll be Obi-Wan. They want to add more to that library, because when you compare it to like all the others, there's not as much. I mean, sure there is because of the movies. If you count the movies, that's quite a bit, right? But I think you're going to get even more. And my hunch is, well, of course you get the Clone Wars too that's coming out. But my hunch is that we're going to hear something about some animated series coming out soon on Disney Plus, I think. I'm going to say around February-ish. I'm going to call it right now, that we'll get something between with Luke, between The Last Jedi and whatever, or The Force Awakens and The Return of the Jedi. I think we'll get something about that. But are you concerned with anything Bob said here? What's your take on all this?
It's all a little confusing to me, and the skeptic in me, and there's not much of a skeptic in me, that, but there is a little bit sometimes in there. Okay. I go back.
That's a good thing.
I go back to the book that Bob Iger wrote, and when you read that chapter on Star Wars, there seems to have been a focus on there about, from a business perspective, and there's nothing wrong with this. This isn't the feedback here isn't about what they were thinking or how they went about this, but they had it in their mind that they needed to get out an X amount of films in order for this deal to be profitable, right? And given what we know now in terms of the movies that have been released and the money that all those movies have released, they've met that goal. They set out to do what they needed to do. And it just feels like, to some extent, and this is kind of what I think what you were hitting on, is they had a short-term roadmap because there was an immediate need for that short-term roadmap, which was to recuperate the cost that it was going to cost to purchase Lucasfilm. But beyond that, I don't know that they had anything planned out. And I think we're in that beyond that part now. And I think that's what we're feeling. It's like, okay, we've made the money back. Everything's great. Star Wars is cool again. Yeah, we had a rocky shake up there with Solo, but for all intents and purposes, they've set out what they needed to do, and at this point, they're kind of just in cruise control. And so that would make sense to me from a business perspective that they don't necessarily need to do a whole lot more right now. They've got Disney Plus. They can focus all of their efforts and focus the storylines and the creators and everything else into that piece, because that for them is a very long-term strategic project, right? To me, it makes sense that they would shift all their effort there. They can only do that for so long, and I think that's where he's coming back and saying we're going to take a hiatus. I think they can only go for 2-3 years before they need to really get back into the wheel well of cranking out movies, because they're going to need the content, and they don't want Star Wars to become stale. They've got the park they've got to think about as well. So that gives them enough time to kind of reset. For me, from a fan perspective, I think it stinks because I was hoping that we'd be getting a movie every, at least 2 years, but 3 would have been just fine with me. To your point, I wish they would have focused on other things. I mean, when you start hearing about like the Jabba movie, I mean, who wanted that, right? I don't. That's not
nobody.
There's
Yoda. Nobody wanted.
Right? Yeah, I don't need to know about Yoda. I don't need to know what his background is. I mean, get into. Be bold, right? I think we had a whole show that we talked about that. Be bold. Get into some of this other stuff that they've been, we as fans have been asking for and talking about. So,
well, we've said the Old Republic, we've said Obi-Wan, and they kind of all ignored that, and then they said, well, let's go to Solo. But why? Why are we going there? We should be going. Why are we touching one of the big three? Let's just go somewhere else and play in that sandbox. You know what I mean?
Well, think about this though.
But
how much have we heard about coaxium since Solo come out now?
Oh,
huh?
Yeah. Every 5 seconds it seems like. But was that needed though? Is that needed? Do I need to know that? I didn't know that in the original trilogy. I didn't know that in the prequel trilogy, and I don't really care about it now. So did I need to know that? No, I did not need to know that.
I was making a joke.
But now I do.
A joke. Calm down.
Okay. Well, I went into a rant. Sorry there. But I think the other issue they're facing is maybe people don't want to work at Lucasfilm or on these projects right now because of 1 minute we hire you, the next we fire you. And I know I mentioned that last week when I was talking about it, and I did defend Kathleen on this one. I think she did the right thing by firing Lord and Miller because I don't think it would have worked. It would have been worse, I think, to be honest, their script, but we'll never know. That's a whole other thing. Yeah. But, she hires people, then she fires people. So I think they're taking the reset button, which I think is a good thing. I think now is a good time to say, all right, we'll get 9 out there, concentrate on The Mandalorian, maybe heal some of the divisiveness between the fans, and we can all kind of agree on something for once. Do that. And then in a few years, kind of map out where we want to go with the next trilogy. And who says it has to be a trilogy? We can do standalones. We can just tell a good story. Yeah. That's it. At the end of the day, you don't have to get into a trilogy. This is going to be a trilogy. That's going to be a trilogy. It doesn't have to be that. Just kind of make a good movie. And then if you have a good trilogy, of course, I think in 6 years we'll have the saga back. That's my prediction. But that's just, you've heard it from me. From 6 years, they'll all get back together. The band will get back together, so to speak. The sequel trilogy kids, and they'll have what would they call that? The sequel trilogy. What would that be called? The sequel trilogy.
The sequel to the sequel.
What would you call that?
Idea. The sequel trilogy.
I know. I guess that's what you would call that. That's kind of confusing. Maybe they should just end it at
the re-sequel.
Because then we can't. The re-sequel.
I don't know. I have no idea.
That sounds spaceballish. Like that didn't sound very good. But anyway, I don't know. Any other? I mean, I think we're gonna get more Disney Plus stuff within this time frame. But anyway, I think we're gonna have enough to occupy us. I don't know. What do you have any other thoughts on what you could possibly see?
The only other elephant in the room is the Rian Johnson films or film.
Oh, that ain't happening. I said it last week. Kathleen may be calling him, but Bob's saying no.
And that's it, right? I don't even know that I have a strong opinion one way or the other whether I want those movies out or whether they're going to come out. I don't even really care. And I don't mean that as I'm not going to go see them. I'm saying I don't even know. There's no way to know. And I keep hearing depending on who you're talking to, depending on who's doing the interview, you hear conflicting stories about whether it's coming out, it's here, it's not.
Well, even with him, he's conflicting about it. So, I mean, the only reason I say it won't happen is because the Solo performance scared the bejeebus out of him. And with all the Last Jedi backlash, I don't think his films would even do half as what Solo did. So they're like, yeah, no. Now, Jonesy had made a good point and said, you know what, we might see these stories maybe on Disney Plus somehow. And I think that wouldn't be a bad idea, because I'd said, even way back with my dislike of the Last Jedi, I thought Ryan could tell a good Star Wars story, just not a Skywalker story. So we'll see. Will remain to be seen. I don't think it'll happen, but that's just me. And who the hell do I don't know anyone in Hollywood, so I don't know. Who knows? We'll find out soon enough, I guess, or maybe not.
The other thing about the Johnson films is it makes me, it kind of confirms for me, at least in my head, that whatever he's got in terms of a story has to be, let me, how would I say that? It seems like that storyline, if they're able to shelve that, let's just assume that it's coming out, that he's been greenlighted. It's going to happen at some point whenever it does, but they are going to go on a hiatus here for another year or 2, 3 years, whatever it is. It makes me think that whatever he's got in the books has really no bearing or on the existing 9 movies, 10 movies, 11, 12 movies, whatever that's come out now, or anything that they've got currently in the can for Disney Plus and going forward. It does feel like that's going to be something that is a solo standalone project that really doesn't tie into this series, whether that's because it's, way in the future, way in the past, or just in another area of the galaxy or something, right? It feels like that's probably going to be the case, because I just can't see anything that would be tied to something that exists already today, whether the previous trilogies or anything coming down here very soon. It just seems like you wouldn't want that to sit there on the shelf too long, because then it's going to become stale, and is it real relevant at that point, right?
Well, I assume we're going to find out, I don't know, we'll get some kind of a teaser trailer for Obi-Wan or the Clone Wars, probably the Clone Wars in February, and then we'll all find out, they'll make an announcement, oh, Ryan's not here either, like they did with the Game of Thrones guys, right? Yeah. So that's we did the Mandalorian trailer, and oh, by the way, that's probably what's going to happen again, because they're just concentrating on the Mandalorian in the last, not the Last Jedi, episode, The Rise of Skywalker, and then we'll do the Clone Wars in February, I think it was, and then we'll do the thing, and then we'll be like, oh, hey, yeah, there you go. So we'll find out, I assume soon, but anyway.
Yeah. So before we get into Resistance 6-pack stuff that we got here, the tomorrow, something's happening tomorrow. I don't.
Well, the Mandalorian's coming out, sir. Oh, yeah. This is a busy week. We got the Mandalorian, and then you got the Fallen Jedi Order coming out, which I've not bought yet, because I don't even know if I'm going to play it. But I am all over the Mandalorian. I can tell you that much.
Any predictions or anything, any thoughts before we, because I mean, this is, we're recording this on Sunday night here on the 10th. So just a day or two away from it. But any final thoughts about what we expect to see that we haven't already talked about?
I just hope. Well, no, yeah, exactly. Well, as I said, I hope. Well, my big prediction was that Ahsoka's the one that saves him in the Siege of Mandalore. When we see, the battle droids and everything, and it's a little boy reaching up, it's going to be Ahsoka's hand that grabs him and saves him. That would be awesome, because Dave is directing the first one. Although I haven't heard anything leak about that, so I may be wrong about that, but we'll see. Anyway, I don't really have, other than him being a guy that blurs the lines between good and bad and kind of does shady things at times and then good things at other times. That's all I really want. I don't have too many predictions yet. I'm going in with fresh eyes and ears and kind of like, all right, let's just wow me, man. Just take me away to the galaxy and the Mandalorian and all that other stuff. So what about you, sir?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. Normally I spoil myself with a lot of this stuff, especially when it comes to the movies, but I really haven't. I've been following it, and I'm ready for it. I was excited and hyped about it when we went to Celebration, obviously. And but beyond that, there really hasn't been a whole lot of rumors either. Like even spoilers, there really hasn't been too much out there. But nonetheless, I would say that I'm kind of going in with the same mind frame. I want to be wooed and wowed with the show. I want to see more of what we saw already, and beyond that, I don't have a lot of expectations, because this is not something that we can just start pointing fingers or pointing to things about like, oh, they're going to explain this, or they're going to go this route, or maybe we'll get this. There's just not a lot there because of where they are in the time frame and the characters themselves, and there's a lot of unknowns. And you and I were talking about this before coming on the air. I just don't know. I don't know what the show's going to do. I don't know if it's going to be good. I don't know if it's going to be bad. I'm excited about it. I think it's got a lot of good hype. I think it's right for the platform, Disney Plus. I like that they're releasing these episodes once a week and not in a big bunch like
Well, it works for me for what I have planned.
Yeah, no.
So it works out well that it's, thank goodness. But there's also an episode. So on Tuesday, there'll be, which is the same day this episode hits. So Tuesday, there'll be the premiere, and then Friday, episode 2 hits. So every Friday is when they release these episodes. So the Friday, and of course, I'm doing Mando Mondays, which is launching on November 18th. So on that day, you'll get the premiere episode, and then you'll get the other episode, which is episode 2. So you get 2 episodes in the premiere of the Mando Monday. So Mando Monday will be a Mando doubleheader, if that doesn't make sense. But anyway, so I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to discuss. I can't wait for you and Jonesy to get together and give your take on it and see how our opinions matter. I look forward to all this. This is going to be fun.
No, it is. And that's a pretty sweet logo that you got there for the show.
Oh yeah. Some guy, Albert Aloysius did it for me or something.
Nice.
I don't know. He's a good guy. He works for Peanuts too. He's a good guy.
less than Peanuts at times.
Yeah, less than that. So I appreciate it. It was a good logo, and we're going with that.
No, thank you. Sorry, and I was just kidding. I wasn't trying to.
I know. You wanted credit. You wanted. It's
it was
fine.
Easy.
It's cool.
So for those of you that are listening, that are still listening, if you want to get in on the Mando Monday show, you don't need to do anything. We're gonna send this as part of the normal Cantina Cast feed, so you'll see that sucker pop right in there. Yes. Just if you already subscribed, if you're subbed to the show, you'll see it pop in there, and you guys can listen to those when they air. So expect Mike to kind of do. What are you targeting in terms of the length of that show?
10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 for like the premiere and like the season finale. Yeah. I'm kind of going on the YouTube time frame, but you never know. If you guys like the show and it's successful, I'll get its own feed, and I'll go longer. It really depends on how well it's received, really, because at the end of the day, I mean, recording it's going to be a breeze, but 10, 15 minutes tops.
No, that's
first
cool.
season anyway.
And then you can expect us to do a 2-hour show. So
yeah, exactly. So I'll give you the Cliffs Notes. You go to Albert and Jonesy for the breakdown.
Dive.
That's how it works. Yeah, for the deep dive, I'm the short dive. So there you go.
Cool. We're looking forward to that, man. All the best of luck to you. And if you need some help, obviously let us know. I know a guy.
Yeah. Well, I got the logo done, so that's
right.
good.
All right. Well, let's. We got about 5 minutes left, so we're gonna. No, we need to talk about Resistance.
Well, it's about as long as it's going to take for us there. But,
so we decided to wait for the first 6 episodes. And I got to say, out of the gate, I was really happy with episode 1, which was called Into the Unknown. I think they left the series off, the show off. Pardon me. If you've got these DVR'd and you don't want spoilers, then just turn it off, because we're going to spoil some of the shows here, the first 6 episodes.
Or you could be like me and Albert and just read all the spoilers and everything else under the sun, so you're good.
Either way, whatever you want to do. But so going back to the way season 1 left off, I was pretty excited about it. I think we talked about this, and we had predicted early on in season 1 that they would need to get the Colossus. Well, we didn't know it was a Colossus. We just said they needed to get off that planet because they were landlocked, literally. I thought the way they did that was pretty ingenious. I like the idea. I like the concept. And the way it left off it was kind of really wide open. You didn't know. We knew they were trying to connect with the Resistance back at Dakar, but beyond that, it could have been anywhere, especially since they got thrown off course, and it was almost kind of a Lost in Space type thing. So I was pretty excited about going in. And then after they announced that this was going to be the last season, that to me took a lot of the it took a lot of the steam out of it. Yeah. For me anyways. I'm not saying that's everyone or that's any kind of consensus opinion, but for me, it felt like there was some steam taken out of that, because then it hit me. It made me realize that what the potential that we had going into season 2, season 3, season 4, however long they wanted to play this out, was going to be very limited, because you've got to think that my worst fear is that these first 5, 6 episodes were going to feel like they had a lot of the main plot points lined up, and these are supposed to play out over the course of 2 to 3 episodes, and instead they're playing out in the course of like 1 episode. And I think that overall, if I could just put a bow on the first 6 episodes, apart from the first one, it feels like these are rapid fire succession stuff that we need to get out. We talked about it. They're important because they're we either scripted them out or we put a lot of time in the artwork and plot lines and all that stuff. And so we're trying to cram them out and get them out. And if they feel kind of condensed, and that's not to say anything, I'm not taking anything away from the episodes themselves, because I think individually as you watch them, they're entertaining, but they're very on the surface, I think. There's not a whole lot of meat there for us to kind of dig into, at least for what we do on this show and try to do on this show anyways, for us to try to dig into and kind of point to certain things here and there, or say, oh, look at this. This may impact, this thread in this comic book, or this may impact the particular, or, Rise of Skywalker in some way here, right? There's not a lot. There wasn't a lot there in those first 6 episodes. So let me pause there and let me get your thoughts on kind of on the first 6 and maybe how you felt leaving the end of season 1 and then coming into season 2 as well.
Well, I thought, this kind of reminds me of the first season. Like the first several episodes kind of dragged, kind of you working your way to a crescendo, so to speak. And then we get into this, and I thought it ended very well. And we're like, all right, well, I'm curious what's going to happen next season. So the first 2 episodes I really liked. I'm like, oh, wow, this show's kind of growing up, and I dig where they're going. They're connecting a lot of things. I did think our friends from the Battlefront 2 game were going to show up when they were at Dakar. Yeah. I thought they were going to meet up somehow. That would have been awesome. But that didn't happen. So, hey, okay.
Well, there's the Resistance Reborn. So for, spoiler, sorry.
Yep. Oh, well, I didn't get that far. But anyway, I haven't got to that. But my point being is these 2 episodes were great. Now, I get the point, the Colossus is damaged or whatever, but the problem I've had in these episodes is, all right, we get it. Now, for the 5th episode, you're struggling, you need food, fuel, this, that, and the other, and the First Order's hunting you down, and then you have several people somehow finding out where your location is. It's basically the chase in space from The Last Jedi, which I just despise. But that's my problem, is this is dragging out too long. And the problem I have with it, I know it's a build-up to get to something big at the end of the season, okay? Because I imagine this is them meeting up with Lando and everybody in episode 9. I'm just going to throw my prediction out there that's what happens. And I know they're probably, time-wise, when you think about it, and I've been thinking about this today, is the reason why they're dragging their butts here is because Leia put the call out. You got to remember, The Last Jedi is happening kind of right about now at the same time. So those events are happening, and Leia put the call out, and that goes to her saying nobody answered the call. So, maybe they answered the call late. I don't know. So I can see why it's dragging out to a degree, but with a show that's got only one, this is it. This is the last season. You'd think there'd be more urgency to get to a bigger overarching story, so to speak. It's like today with the girl that Niku ran into there, the engineer. Yeah, she's obviously going to come back around and join the group and same with the girl that's the TIE pilot there that used to be on the Colossus there. What's her name? I can't think of her name.
Tam?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Who's, she's going to come back and join them. And, they're all going to collect together and they're all going to meet up in episode 9. That's what I'm hoping, at least. At least that'll be the payoff. Like, all right, I get it. We're kind of setting up. That's a nice little thread. If she comes back and you're like, oh, but she's part of this. You know what I mean? So maybe we'll see her shipping among those ships that are out there, right? So that would be nice. That'd be cool. But those are my thoughts overall so far with the season. I think because the first 2 episodes were really good, that now these other ones are like, oh, man, come on, man. Can't we just up it a notch here? I know you're burning something. It's a slow burn to something good with a payoff. I hope, at least. That's why I'm assuming that they're taking their time with this. I just feel like if this is your last season, man, you got to keep punching. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, I agree. Like the first 2 episodes were great, and that's was it Quick Salvage Run was number 2, and then Into the Unknown was the first episode. So those 2 are very solid. I think they kind of we've talked about it now. It picks up right after they finally get to Dakar. They realize that there's been a huge battle, which is what we saw from the events of The Last Jedi. And
I thought that was cool. No. I thought that was awesome. I'm like, oh wow, that's I like that connection. I mean, it's right in your face and you're kind of going to get it, but I just thought that was cool. And like, and you're thinking about The Last Jedi and the end of, all of The Force Awakens and everything at that moment. At least I thought of that. And I thought, all right, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And we got to see the dreadnought, right, that they focused on in The Last Jedi to take out. That becomes kind of a pivotal piece in the second. I think it's either the first or second one where they decide to go in there to try to steal whatever kind of fuel they need because they're low on fuel and that sort of thing. So it was neat. There was some very neat connected tissue there, a really cool way to kind of tie those two together. And we got to see Kaz's parents, his dad, which I think that was supposed to be. That's where I felt like, okay, they teased that in the very first season early on, almost in if not the pilot episode, if not the second one. But they teased his father, and we don't have a lot of information yet about his father and the significance. We know he's alive, which I thought was interesting because it's not as had they played that out over the course of like maybe one more season, that would have been more dramatic. But it was like, oh, my father, they blurred his face in the first season. You never got to see him. You got to hear his voice, but you never got to see him. Mm-hmm. And then we get to the end of season 1 and you think, oh my gosh, his whole family's dead, right? That's what I thought. And I thought, what's that going to do to him? How's it going to change him? And then boom, he pops up here. Because he pops up so quickly, and this is the last season, again, I think that some of that steam is gone. I think had they played that out longer and really had Kaz deal with the fact that he had lost his parents, or at least he thought he lost his parents, and then towards the end of the season have his father be available again or come back in some way, I think would have been more powerful. But again, that's where I feel like these things were plot points in this timeline that they laid out, and because now they're on a condensed timeline, they're just kind of throwing everything at you one right after the other. So I think it just doesn't have as much.
Well, see, it goes back to the whole planning thing. Like, I think they figured they'd get a few seasons out of this, and then they decide, you know what? No, we're going to go this way, and we're going to end this. Which is sad because, like you said, there's a plot point there or a story you could tell there, which would be meaning. It's almost like Ezra in a way, right? Yeah. You could make that kind of count, but now we got this rush to do whatever we got to do now. Well, I wouldn't say it's a rush because it's a slow burn to where we need to go, wherever that is. For my estimation, it seems to just drag.
Yeah,
but,
no, I agree.
I get what you're saying. We're going to miss out on some storylines that probably could have went somewhere interesting had we had another season or two, but that's just the way it is. And maybe we'll get a book or a comic or something where they tell that story, so there's other avenues to have it. It's just a shame you're not going to get it on the show. But
I think for me also, I guess one of the highlights, and this was a highlight for me towards the end of the season for sure, especially as it wrapped up. But and you mentioned it, but Tam's storyline I think is very cool. And we didn't get a lot of. We got a lot of it in the first and second episodes, and it seemed very real. But then the last 3, like Live Fire, no, we got some in Live Fire.
I thought Live Fire was pretty decent.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was that story part with her training, and I love that they still use the Clone Wars thing where they address the females as yes, sir. Like they just still do that. I don't know why, but okay. That's cool, Dave. I guess you're just paying homage to everyone saying yes, sir, to Ahsoka. I don't know, but it always makes me laugh. But in any case,
yeah. So
I know I bored Albert with that one. He's like, oh, okay, sure, Mike. Moving along.
Quality commentary. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So the live fire episode was good because we get to see more of what's going on there. And I to your point, I think. Obviously, she's going to come back around. I think she's going to bring Rucklin, which is the kid that she's been like befrimed, I guess.
Yeah, they're both going to defect.
It'll be like a Finn and Poe kind of thing where he helps her defect kind of stuff. So I'd like to see that happen. And again, that's another one where I think that together, that's probably a relationship that we could have seen a lot of, and we may not get a whole lot of it now. It may just be, we may just have to take it at face value that he's going to turn like that.
Yeah, and even when they come back. So if they come back, and all this happens, I can't, unless there's an extra episode after the big event where they kind of just make peace with each other, so to speak, and they're happy family again. I don't know. I feel like that'll be rushed at the end. Like this kind of thread between Kaz and Tam here, where they kind of, he still cares for her and, that stuff, and she's trying to push him away and, all that stuff. I don't know how that's going to wrap up, but hey, well, that's why we watch the episodes, right?
there were two other things that came out of that episode, and I'm probably not going to talk about the other three very much, so I'm going to focus on this one because there was some good stuff in here. But I like the idea that that it was a privilege to be seen in the First Order, right? There's a moment in there where Tam, early on, she has her helmet off quite a bit, and I forget the lady's name, but the one that's kind of instructing her, that's kind of commanding them,
the TIE instructor. Yeah.
But they get after her because she's got her helmet off, and she basically tells Tam that it's a privilege to be seen, and so they make her put her helmet back on. They also give her a name. I think it's DT533 or whatever, which I thought was kind of sad that she no longer goes by the name Tam, and they don't call her Tam, right? So she's being indoctrinated right into the First Order the way we know them to be, which I thought was cool. There was another cool moment in there too that I took down as a note. I believe it was I can't remember who said it, but they were talking about the Imperial pilots, and it was right after they had their little I think it was training, yeah.
The training,
and they didn't look after one another, and someone made the comment of we weren't, and that's why we lost, because they weren't concerned about the other pilots. Which was kind of sad because and that's where I seem to focus in. I'm forgetting the guy's name now. Dang it! I always forget his name, and he's like the one character I like, but he's also the first character that goes out. This is the ex-Imperial pilot that's part of the Aces.
What
the heck's his name?
Darn it, Griff. It's not Griff or whatever the heck his name. I can't remember. I know who you're talking about. I just don't know his name.
Yeah,
this is awful.
But anyway. Whenever he starts talking, right, or whenever we get scenes with him, I immediately perk up. So I just think there's a lot there that I would like to know more about. Having somebody
that's Steve Stan's character, right? Yeah.
And we just don't ever get to. We don't get a lot. That was probably the most significant thing that we've seen. Other than that, he seems to be the first one that gets tagged or crashes out or has Imperial ship malfunctioning type stuff going on. So I feel, whatever. But beyond that, so I would say if you're a casual viewer and if you've not seen these, or if you are trying to come in and want to get caught up, or if you got caught up and you enjoyed season 1 and now you're ready to jump into season 2, I think for the first 2-3 episodes, I think you're pretty okay. I don't know what's going on with the other 3. And
the episode 4 was just awful.
The hunt on Celsor 3?
The hunt. Yeah, that was just, I don't know what they would, you get the cat there, the wacky cat, and I don't know. It was wacky like, with the dog cat thing with the I just.
Is it Muggles?
Yeah, exactly. And the whole the giant creature thing that you knew was going to happen. It just was very predictable from here on out on things that were going to happen to me on this, at least in my point of view. And then you get the pirates that are running. I don't know. It was very silly and over the top silly to me. Like it just was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, it's like did they have to dedicate an episode to they need food? No.
Yeah, I think that's my bigger problem is and then here's the thing, everyone's ready to leave the ship, so leave. Like, why would you be there anyway? You're starving and then you're going to wait for them to go for the hunt? Why? Why would you do that? Leave, get off the ship.
There's no reason that they need to stay on there.
And not only that, you're floating in space when the First Order's on your tail. All right, so leave. Why would you stay there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's it. I mean, there's not, these aren't really compelling stories. As I was watching them, I was trying to think of like, okay, are there little nuggets in here that they're planning that are probably going to play out later on in the shows? And I mean, unless I'm just completely blindsided, I'm not seeing it. And these do feel like filler episodes. And again, not to say that they're bad episodes as a standalone episode, but in terms of where we would expect this to be going with, very limited time left, and especially coming off the first 2-3 episodes of the season, I don't know. It just wasn't. They kind of fell short for me. And then again, not saying anything about the acting or all of it's still there. I mean, the quality's all great and everything, but it's just, I don't know. These aren't really the stories that I would expect them to tell. And if someone just said, "Boy, we really need food and energy," and suddenly they have it, I'd be okay with that, right? I don't need to have the backstory on how they got their food and all that, unless it's going to have some kind of significant bearing on the rest of this season or play into, I don't know, other storylines or play off of other storylines. I just don't know that I'm really all that interested in it.
Well, I'm assuming that this was to show them building and becoming a team for later on down the road, like near the end of the season, so you can understand, oh, they're good pilots or something like that. But they could have told a better story and not involved this monster somehow. That would have made much more sense, I guess. But the food thing, I don't know. It seemed silly to me, the whole thing. And then the cat dog thing was like, really? Yeah. I don't know.
When we got to
but that's just
the
me.
Engineer.
I don't mean to be sounds.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
The engineer.
Yep.
That's the only one that I felt like, okay, this new character, Nina, is going to play a part in this series at some point, right? She's coming back, and I don't know what capacity or what way, but I think because she befriended Niku, and they worked so well together, I think she's another one that'll probably defect, and maybe she comes out and
and the First Order's gonna hunt her down and kill her. So yeah, she's got a reason to come back and join them and for forgiveness. And thank God Sonara said something about, she's an engineer. She's out there trapped all by herself. And you're wondering why, all these things. I mean, because I was thinking that myself. I'm like, she's an engineer. She can fix her own ship. What's the problem? Yeah. So I don't know. And then the whole thing, you place the device in there. I'm like, yeah, all right, you're a spy.
Right.
Like, it was just so predictable. Like, I could see it coming, and Niku's so innocent. He doesn't put two and two together. And, but anyway.
And then the last one was the one that premiered tonight, I believe, or today. From Beneath. Was that the name of the episode?
Yeah, From Beneath. Yeah. And the funny thing about this one, the one that drew my interest, is it made me think of the Rebels episode where they went with Lando on that planet with the Y-Wings or the B-Wings. I can't remember where it was. It was in Rebels.
It was probably the Y-Wings.
And
I think the B-Wings were when they were doing the testing with the...
Yeah, so maybe, it was the Y-Wings, if I remember right. And that planet, it looked like the same planet to me. So I'm like, ooh, are we going back? But I guess it wasn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to have to go. I was trying to look for it earlier. I couldn't find it, but that's what it made me think of. That was the only one moment where I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. This was was better than the last one. I thought it was a little, the dragon thing, I get the symbolism. They look like, the Chinese dragons and stuff. That was pretty cool. But overall, and then, of course, the Jurassic Park reference of you can't move.
They can't see us if we don't move.
Yeah, that type of thing. And the light and stuff. I don't know. It was just like, all right, can we get to where we need to be in the whole, and the fuel thing? Just, again, like, come on. I don't know. It seems like it's just taking too long. So hopefully next week is a lot better than this. But I don't know. What did you think of this one?
It was okay. I know there's people out there that are big Flicks and Orca fans, so maybe that's kind of where they were going. Is this was supposed to be a way to highlight or showcase their relationship?
And it's the last season. I'm glad they got an episode to kind of shine, so to speak. But I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
go ahead.
But I don't know. Flicks just looks like he's wearing a bra. That's the only thing that bothers me. So. It was the first thing I saw when he got off the...
only you, Albert. Only
when they
you.
get to this home world, which it's called Dragor 3, so I don't think it's the same planet. But anyways, when they...
No, it probably is.
When they land and his kin come off the elevator, that's the first thing I looked at. It was like, okay, are they all wearing bras? I'm like, nope, they're not. So that means he's definitely wearing a bro or a bra of some sort. So
a manzier?
Maybe. Who knows?
Okay. Or is that a brazier, as in bird? Bird's air? Is that a thing? Why are we even doing this?
But
go ahead.
That's what you come here for, folks. Is this kind of analysis? Last year was Walker. 2 years ago was walking sticks. We're into bras now, or man bras.
Great. We've evolved really bad.
I don't know. Maybe the dragons come back too, in some way. I don't think they do, but maybe it's kind of a space whale thing.
Yeah. No, it was better than the space whales.
Nothing's better than the space
whales. The space whales were horrible, Dave. I haven't forgiven you for that. And the helicopter lightsabers. So, I know a lot of fans love Dave, and I love Dave too, but sometimes he deviates a little. But, he still tells good stories.
He's a creator.
But yes, he is.
All right. Well, we can end it there.
Yeah, let's end it there.
So, watch them at your own leisure and let us know if we're way off base or how you feel. Again, I'm not bashing them, but it just was kind of like, it was pretty lackluster for me, I guess, the last 3 episodes. So I'm hopeful, though. I do want to see how this plays out and where it ends. I think there's still potential there.
No, I do as well. I think the problem that hurts, the first 2 are really good. The third one was interesting. And then we just went off the reservation, so to speak, and we didn't get to where we want to go yet. And I know it's a slow burn. And when I'm watching these, I'm like, all right, okay, we'll get there. It's a slow burn. It's going to be a good, exciting end, finale. I think they'll do it right. But it's like, all right, and maybe that's their own success of having 3 good episodes at the beginning, and now we got to wait to get to that.
It's like the Cantina cast. They can't all be good.
Yeah, well, that's true. That is very true.
Most of them aren't.
But yeah. Especially those old ones, man. Whew.
That's funny.
All right. I don't mean to be negative because I think it's enjoyable. And my daughter came in while I was doing today's episode for tonight, and she got a good laugh at one of the scenes. So there are moments where it's, if you take your analytical mind out of the whole thing, they're kind of fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a good point. If you're going into this with the mindset of I want to analyze this and I want it to mean something, the first 3 episodes probably do that for you. The last 3 don't, for sure. But if you're going in and you love these characters, and it's a great point because I watched these with my kids as well, and they loved all of them. Right, they were all the best episodes. So it just really depends on who the audience is and what your expectations are. So
yeah, and this was geared towards younger kids, not 2 middle-aged guys to a podcast, right? So it is what it is.
All right. So that's it for that. Let's get into some business.
Okay, a little bit. We got a little bit.
Yeah, Satis, Smoking and Drinking in Space. They have just done their Star Wars review. They went through all 8 episodes. Is that right?
Well, they're going through that.
Okay, that's right.
I was just on The Empire Strikes Back, which is coming out soon, so I was on that. And just a warning to our audience, it's not safe for work. I know I posted something on Instagram plugging them, and I forgot to do that. And, well,
somebody came into Discord and was like, whoa, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and that's on me, and I apologize. So please, it's not, it's not like the Cantina cast. It's vastly different, so just fair warning. But they're going through 1 to 8. I believe they're going to 8 or in the Force Awakens. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure they are. I'll have to check with them, check with the guys again. But I think they're going through that, and it's pretty fun. I was on there for the Empire Strikes Back one, which is, of course, my favorite. So I had an easy job that day. It was good. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Check them out. Just be mindful of the language. That's all I can say. Oh, and I do have a special shout out, though, to our friend Greg over at Rebel Base Cards. He had mentioned us on The Rise of Skywalker when that came out, when the trailer hit. At the top of his show, he mentioned us. That we were one of the first that got the trailer reaction out, and he just wanted to say thanks for that. So check him out. He's a pretty cool guy, and he's got an interesting take. What I love about his podcast is it's completely different from everybody else in Star Wars, so they don't sound like us and all that stuff or whoever else. He's just doing his own thing, and I love that. So go check him out. He's worth, even if you don't collect baseball cards, Star Wars baseball cards, I go listen to him every week anyway, so you should do. And anyway, but we'll move on.
No, I was going to say, he's a great guy. We got a chance to meet him out at Celebration when we were up in Chicago, so he came out to the Wormhole Cafe.
Yeah. The only downside of that is we didn't get to hang out long.
I know. Yeah. We were just on limited time at that point, but yeah, go check out the Rebel Base Cards when you can. And what else? We
got a new Discord guy
or person.
OG free Discord. Yes, person. I should say person.
Yeah, I don't know.
OG free, right?
OG free.
So
all right.
Yes, so they joined Discord, so you guys could check out Discord. Just, click the link in the show description and come join the fun conversation. We're pretty respectful with each other. We all have our different opinions, especially me with The Last Jedi. We all managed to be civil somehow, and we like to keep it that way. So,
and a lot of us are really good people because we're all big Cowboys fans. So,
all right, now, listen, hey, I don't know what to do with myself. The Dolphins have won 2 in a row here. I really don't know what to do. I mean, this is just crazy. They're not supposed to win anything.
No, they really aren't. I don't know what's going on.
Man, they might end up with 4 wins, man. I don't know what's going on.
I'm just on the Cowboys because they were playing tonight and they were down by 3 at one point. So,
I hope they lose just to make you eat your words.
Yeah,
but anyway,
you're a jerk.
Yes, that's true. I am a jerk face. We also got an iTunes review from Darth Nebulous from Canada. He's from Canada. He says he loves the show. I've been a Star Wars fan for years, and the Cantina Cast is the best show. Well, thank you very much. There aren't many Star Wars fans in my immediate circle, so it's nice to hear engaging topics being discussed. Keep up the great work, which is kind of the premise of what the Cantina Cast was. It's kind of back when I was a kid, I only had a few people to talk to. So this is one of the reasons why the Cantina Cast became the Cantina Cast. So I feel you, Darth Nebulous, and I'm glad we could give you something to listen to.
Yeah, no, thank you for that review. Very generous, and always appreciate the comments. If you guys are enjoying the show, please share that with your friends and family. Let them know about like you have a bunch of family members that are all just into Star Wars, right? But no, if you've got
it's possible. I mean, not my family. I only have my daughter. Everybody else thinks I'm a freaking widow.
It's a nerd. But yeah, if you've got friends that are into Star Wars, please recommend the show. And then certainly if you're enjoying what you're hearing, feel free to drop us a review on iTunes. Those always help the show, and we've got to dig out of the hole that so some of the past episodes may have laid for us. But anyways, no, I'm kidding. Maybe not.
No, that's true. It's true.
All right.
Enough.
Well, we're going to end the show here. I think next week we'll be back with episode 300, Mike. This is the one that you said was a big one, right?
No, you said it was a big one. I said it was, whatever. I want to do CAD. I want to do a Cantina After Dark. I got to get you and Jonesy rounded up, and we can do that. But 300. I don't know what you guys are going to do.
We're doing Mando, so it'll be Mandalorian breakdown.
Oh, well, that's true. Oh, that's good. All right. Oh, good. I won't be on that one, though. I don't think I'll be on that one. I swear I won't be on the episode 300.
We're not going to let you be on 300.
Good. I've worn out my welcome on this one.
So I think we'll do the Mando for 300, and then I do want to come back and do an episode. Well, I won't spoil it. There's something that I want to do about Resurrection. Let's just leave it at that. So that'll be coming in.
Hey, you know what you could do? I'm going to get you that artist Alberto to do a little episode art with the 300 from the movie 300. The Mandalorian is kind of the same thing. Kind of blend those in. I don't know if you can find the artist around. Maybe go look his phone number up for me and kind of have him do some kind of. He did the sweet Mando Monday logo. Maybe he's around. He could do this one. I don't know.
Okay,
anyway, we're dragging on.
I'll give him a call. See what he says.
Very good.
Alberto.
Awesome. I look forward to that. But all right, we should probably leave because I think we've worn out. Welcome.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Alberto.
You're still listening? Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm here to give you the disclaimer. Normally we do a big, long, drawn-out disclaimer thing saying what's what and who's what and all that other stuff, but I think you guys kind of know that Lucasfilm and Disney have no affiliation with us at all, and we have none with them. We talk about Star Wars, which is their property and all that other good, fun stuff, but I think you can tell which is our stuff and which is their stuff. If you can't, well, then send a lawyer to send an email to me, and I'll be glad to chat with them. Other than that, you know what's what, so that's your disclaimer.